right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys, the latest update from Brett Wilkin. 4 weeks out now from the 2024 Legion Sports Festival, which is a qualifier not for this year's Olympia, but for next year's Olympia. So he's looking to nab that early qualification. And frankly, Brett looks phenomenal in these recent updates. I really like how deeply separated his abs are, crazy quads, crazy round, full 3D throughout the upper body, delts, arms, chest. He looks fantastic. And like I've said many times, bodybuilding kind of has a very short memory span, and because it's been a while since we've seen Brett compete, he hasn't really been in the conversation as much. But I really think what we're seeing from him in these updates as we get closer and closer to the show is a really impressive, just world-class physique. And I think as exciting as the Olympia is coming up in October, there's still a lot of these shows that are kind of sprinkled in and around the Olympia and then still till the end of the year that are going to have some really exciting lineups, and I think Legion is going to be one of them, even though it doesn't qualify for this year. So the excitement doesn't really end with the Olympia this year. The Olympia is a little bit earlier. It's in October. Years past, it's been November, December. So aside from the Olympia, and aside from the two qualifiers that we have left in Italy and the UK, there's still a lot of exciting bodybuilding going on between now and the end of the year. So we got that to look forward to, and I, for one, am very excited to see Brett Wilkin on stage because it looks like he's going to be bringing the best package we've ever seen from him. And speaking of that Italy qualifier, we got another update from Hunter Labrada today, putting him just 1 week out from the Italy show, this time posing in really, really good lighting. And he talks about in the caption of this post how he's been really focusing and working on his posing, and talks about how he's excited to showcase some of the changes that he's made, improving his posing on stage in competition. But what I'm most impressed about with Hunter is his conditioning. 1 week out, he looks right where he needs to be. He looks super dialed in, shredded to the bone. I mean, there's not much else to really say. I think Hunter is going to come in and just dominate this Italy lineup, regardless of who's in it. NICKS&P, Vlad Sukaruchko might be doing that show. Realistically, everybody else that's a high-level Olympian, top 10 Olympian, is qualified for the Olympia already. I've heard some talk about maybe, some of these guys like Beirut potentially doing one of these other shows that I mentioned earlier, like Romania, for example, one of these shows that's right around the Olympia or after and trying to qualify early for next year. Beirut being a guy that I think will be a top-level Olympian, just off the chance that their visa doesn't get approved and then they can qualify early for next year and then focus the whole year, trying to get their visa for next year's Olympia. So we might see some top Olympians do that and try to qualify early for 2025. But as far as this show, this Italy show that Hunter's doing, NICKS&P is doing, I don't think we're going to see any like really big standout names. And I think Hunter, based on the condition that we're seeing in these videos, I think he's going to walk all over whatever this lineup ends up being. And I think really his biggest threat at this Italy show will be NICKS&P. And as far as NICKS&P goes, the updates that we've seen, 2, 3, 4 weeks out, we haven't really had any new ones, but based on those updates and what we're seeing here from Hunter, it looks like he's, I've said this already, but way ahead of NICKS&P conditioning-wise. And if we see, a similar package from NICKS&P as what we saw in Dubai, I don't think he has a chance against a really conditioned, dialed-in, peaked Hunter Labrada. The detail that you can see in Hunter's physique in this video and all the other updates that we've talked about is just a level of detail that I haven't seen in any update from NICKS&P yet. And if you look back even to NICKS&P's prep for the Dubai show, towards the end, we really didn't see a whole lot of updates, and he ended up not looking that great on stage. And I think he probably wasn't posting updates because he felt that he didn't look good, and I wonder if that's a similar scenario here. But again, there is that chance. What if NICKS&P comes in extremely dialed in and beats a primed, peaked, ripped Hunter Labrada? That would arguably be the biggest bodybuilding upset of the year, and potentially would take away Hunter's last opportunity to qualify for the Olympia. There's still the UK show, but based on Hunter's post, I don't think he has any intention of doing that. I think he's fully planning on winning in Italy. So imagine what an update it would be, or what an upset it would be, rather, if NICKS&P was able to come in and take away that qualification from Hunter Labrada. That'd be pretty big. Now, next up in the news, we did get kind of an update from Chris Bumstead. This was from his recent YouTube video just a few hours ago titled Rest Day Vlog. And I actually saw this on Brazil Bodybuilding News. They kind of isolated the parts where you can see Chris's current physique because Chris hasn't really posted any recent physique updates as far as actually hitting poses or a video or anything like that. But this was a 14-minute video, so shout out to Brazil Bodybuilding News for kind of isolating the segments where you can see Chris's physique and screen grabbing him. And I think from what you can see here, Chris looks just as dangerous as ever, and I think one of Chris's really deadliest weapons at the Olympia is his size, and that's the main thing that I'm looking at here, is he just looks so big compared to the other classic guys as far as just sheer muscle mass. And again, I think that's the advantage that Chris has over a lot of these guys, is he's significantly taller than most of the guys that are right there with him in that top 5 or 6. I mean, to me, if I showed this video to a very casual bodybuilding fan, maybe not even a fan, just someone familiar with bodybuilding, I think to most people, this would look like an open bodybuilder. Not a guy that's restricted by a weight class. He looks really big, and I think that's Chris's significant advantage. And that's why I think this discussion about Wesley Vissers is so interesting, because of the fact that Wesley is taller. He's big. He has that ability to put on size to more rival the size that Chris has. And I know that in classic physique, obviously size is not the number one thing. It's more focused on aesthetics and line and a very aesthetically pleasing structure. But if you look at how Chris has dominated that division over the past several years now, and you try to point to a reason why he's so dominant, I think it's that combination of size. He's got a ton of muscle and still maintains just a beautifully aesthetic physique. I think it's a combination of the two. Because when you look at Ramon or Urs or Terrence or Breon or any of those guys, they've all got beautiful physiques, very aesthetic, very classic looking physiques. But you look at Chris next to them, and he's got a lot more muscle. So when I say the conversation about Wesley is interesting, the fact that Wesley beat Ramon at the Arnold and now technically would be the guy considered to be right behind Chris, since Ramon was that guy and now doesn't seem to be. Wesley has that ability to be a little bit more comparable with Chris, and I think that's fascinating because Wesley's a big dude. Not that I think Wesley will beat Chris, I just think the comparison will be interesting. My personal opinion is that Chris won't be beaten this year. I've said this many times. I think this will be his retirement Olympia, and I think he will win. I don't think Wesley, Ramon, Urs, any of them, as much as I like all their physiques, I don't think Chris will be dethroned. I think he's going to go out on a win. But that comparison of Wesley and Chris, if we have a Wesley at his all-time best again like we had at the Arnold, that comparison seems more interesting to me than the comparison of Chris and Ramon. And I want to talk about Wesley again because I saw an update today of Wesley at 6 weeks out, and then I saw somebody immediately do a comparison. It was Fernando Arroyo, a comparison of this year's Arnold Classic Wesley Vissers, which was Wesley at his all-time best. I think most people would agree with that. Compared to this update at 6 weeks out, the exact same pose, damn near the exact same angle. And a lot of people talking about this, that Wesley looks not only peeled to the bone, arguably, almost as conditioned as he looks on stage, but he looks like he's added muscle in a significant way. First, if you look at just the arm, look at the delt. The delt comes up higher. There's more muscle on the delt clearly. The bicep and tricep both look bigger. And again, this isn't an apples to apples comparison. This is 6 weeks out versus on stage depleted. So take that with a grain of salt. Then look at the lat. That muscle in the lower lat looks significantly thicker to me. And I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comments below. But Wesley, he looks really impressive. And it seems to me that, we saw this all-time best Wesley at the Arnold, but looking at this update, it seems to me like he's made even more improvements since then. So this working with Stefan Boss of Outlaw seems to be a winning combination for him. But I saw that update today, and I thought it was noteworthy because I was really impressed to the point where I thought, is this photoshopped? And he clearly looks improved to me. In any case, I think we've got a very exciting classic physique Olympia coming up. And speaking of which, the final story that I have for you guys today is Terrence Ruffin's Classic Physique Olympia predictions. His top 5 in Classic, he has Chris winning, Ramon in second, Wesley in third. He has that with the caveat that Wesley could place higher, obviously, but he clearly beaten the next two guys who were at their best on that day, which is a good argument that Ramon was off at that Arnold Classic. But I would argue that neither Breon or Urs really were. Then he has either Breon or Urs in in fourth or fifth. And he continues that he isn't basing this off of personal preference. He's basing it off of the data that we've seen this year. I do think that's a good point about Wesley and Ramon, even though we've talked about this before, and I kind of think it was a combination of both, right? Ramon was definitely off, but he wasn't like super off. I think it was more that Wesley was not only on, but Wesley was significantly improved. The best we'd ever seen from him by far. So yeah, it was a combination of Ramon being off and Wesley being really good, but I think it was tilted more, the pendulum was swinging more in the direction of it was because Wesley was just that undeniable than Ramon being off. But it is a fair point to say we didn't get to see a 100% Ramon versus a 100% Wesley. So that's an important thing, I think, to remember going into the Olympia, where we probably will see, hopefully we'll see, a 100% version of Ramon. But I also think it's fair to say that Wesley should be in that top 3 based on the data that we've seen, like Terrence says, because of the fact that I think Breon and Urs looked really good at the Arnold, and he beat both of them when they were not off. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What are your top 5 Olympia predictions for Classic Physique? That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.